We are live. All right, this is episode 6 of our World of Lifting podcast. We have another special guest here today, and his name is Jakob Hill. I'm a fellow competitor with him. We're going to consider ourselves rivals at some point. But Jacob, how's it going? How's it going, man?
Good, man. How you doing, Alan?
Yeah, I'm doing good. So we'll start this podcast off. So I met you back at Gaglion Strength back in, I think back in June. We had our first real conversation when we had our meet, the summer showdown. And I was just wondering, how'd you get into this whole thing, powerlifting?
So powerlifting was like a very long introduction for me. So in the beginning, I got into the gym probably like any other bro, like just looking to put on some size, build some muscle, whatever. I didn't have my sights on powerlifting till probably about 3 years into the gym. So, cause like I couldn't deadlift one of the big movements out of powerlifting because of my injury. So I was very just into hypertrophy for a majority of my career. So it didn't happen till like 3 years in when I started learning a lot more. I definitely have to like shout out a couple people for that. Not even real like big powerlifters, just like YouTubers or fitness influencers at the time. I can't not mention them, like Mike Rashid, Chris Jones, Bradley Martin, just Barbell Brigade in general. All those guys, they weren't really powerlifters, but they did the big three. Like they trained like me in the beginning, and that kind of influenced me to try the big three and start building some strength in those movements.
Yeah, Chris Jones, that's an old school YouTuber. He's been
there. Yeah, that shows my age for sure.
And I know Mike Rashid did that crazy, like, I don't know how many reps he did with 225 on the bench.
Oh yeah, the gauntlet.
Yeah, I don't know. He was like this big pyramid. I don't even know. Crazy.
Yeah.
I know he's boxing now too or something, right?
Yeah, super inspirational. He's a really good dude.
Yeah, so we had Lewis back on the podcast, and he talked about how much of an impact you had on his journey. So I know you guys have been friends for a while. What do you have to say about that?
It was honest. I couldn't prepare for it, honestly. Like, so Lewis never did really like much athletics like I did. Like I have a really big athletic history, and he didn't. So his transition in the beginning was definitely something new to him. But at the same time, within a year, he put on crazy amount of weight to his total. So he got right into powerlifting, unlike I did, where I spent some time in the gym. He went right into powerlifting, right into the big three movements, and he was able to build a lot of strength really quickly. So he was chasing my tail with the deadlift especially, even the bench, definitely the bench. But with the deadlift, since I started so late in it and I had my back injury, it took me a long time to find my positioning and everything. He literally just came for it real quick in a year, and it was very like, he's 5 years younger than me, and it was so intimidating.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was empowering because it made me feel like I can do way more. Like if I'm this age, I have this much experience, I can definitely train harder. I can train smarter. I can learn more to get stronger. So he definitely kind of lit a fire under my ass when, like in the beginning stages of powerlifting, definitely affected me in like a positive way for sure.
Yeah, like, yeah, I ain't gonna lose to him kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to still be able to hold some value, like when I talk to something about him. So I want to make sure I'm putting in the work to hold that that position.
You guys both were in the same weight class at one point.
Yeah, that's another funny thing. Like he put on some decent muscle through the process of it all, and we were competing, same weight class, right with each other, but 5 years apart.
Yeah, I think he cut down now, right? He looks pretty shredded.
Yeah,
now.
he cut down. Yeah, I love that he did that because he's definitely into looking good as well, not just like trying to be strong, but also like looking good in the mirror, looking good for some pics. Because I had a similar journey where like I thought like eating everything and getting as big as I can was the goal, but it's not necessarily true when it comes to leverages in powerlifting. So finding a good weight class is probably priority, and it seems like he found a pretty good weight class considering he pulled 3 times body weight in a meet. So
yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a good goal. I haven't reached that goal yet, so
You haven't?
I'm looking to. yeah, I'm looking to attack that goal this year. I went up a weight class, so
Oh,
he
you're in
went
my weight
down.
class now, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm in your weight class
Yeah.
now, so I'm looking to pull more towards the 600s to get that 3 times body weight.
Yeah.
Um,
I only did the 3 times body weight for the squat, and that was
wow,
freaking ridiculous. Like that took a lot of effort to get that weight up. I was
for
like what
sure.
I weighed 195. I squatted 585. So on the dot 3 times body weight, and
Yeah,
that was
dude, that's
insane hard.
insane. Great squat, man.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I have. That's like that carries my total. I mean, I can do decent bench, decent deadlift, but the
Yeah,
squat is
dude,
that for me.
the squat's the first lift for a reason, man. It opens up the game, lets everybody know what we're working with. So it's a great thing to be good at, you know.
Yeah.
Should be proud of that.
So you said you have a big athletic history. So like, what kind of
Yeah.
sport did you do before that? Before powerlifting?
So I played basketball all throughout my whole life in school. So for the school team. But more importantly, I was into speed and agility, or plyometrics, you can call it. So I was always trying to increase my vertical jump or run faster, whatever. I realized later on in life I didn't really care for the sport, but I cared for training for the sport. Like all the hard work that was put in and all the things you learn when you're putting in that hard work is what I was attracted to, not really shooting a basketball, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
were you a big scorer though? Like, were you good?
Yeah, I thought I was pretty good. I definitely had some good handles. You know, I was big on just I was obsessed with trying to dunk. So that's like all I
Oh,
cared about. I dunked in like eighth, ninth, 10th grade, somewhere around there. So it was a really
oh
big feat for me at the
Jesus!
time.
It's on a 10 foot rim. Is that what it is? That 10 foot rim?
Yes, sir. Yeah, 10 feet.
Damn, you dunked in ninth grade. Jesus Christ, it's
Yeah,
progressive.
and it was a double-edged sword thing. Like I was obsessed with it, and it's what led to my injury. My obsession with increasing my performance in those means.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely something to be smart about.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, between running, I dabbled in a little parkour,
Parkour?
ironically. Yeah. So I used to do backflips. I used to do backflips off a tree. I used to try to jump up to like crazy heights or whatever, or try to jump over a car. I used to do it with my friends all the time. My cousin was like a very big gymnastic person, so he influenced me a lot on that parkour side of things.
Wow, never
Yeah.
thought you did parkour. I forgot. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your back injury. So what is it called, and how did you get it?
All right. So I think I have to start off with when the doctors and myself kind of think it started happening. Um, Through this parkour stuff that I was really interested in, I definitely I can name like 5 or 6 times where it went wrong. I broke my wrist trying to do a certain stunt back in the day. I was trying to jump from a place to the monkey bars and do a backflip off of it. It went wrong, and I actually landed on my wrist, right,
Okay.
protecting my back from kind of hurting or getting injured in that regards. But there was numerous amount of these types of falls where I would fall on my back, jumping over something, whatever, right? So between the contact of falling on my back from high places, because I also fell in basketball trying to get a rebound very high up and hitting the floor like really hard.
Like a
Between
back
that,
flop, like a solid.
yeah, like a literal backflop. That's the
Oh
best
my
way to
God.
explain it. Yeah. So between that and the doctor's kind of diagnosis was that since I was so obsessed with trying to jump uh, vertically, the shearing forces of me landing constantly, all the time.
The discs and all that.
Yeah,
All the
the
pressure.
compression of the spine and everything that was happening caused it over time. So it definitely wasn't like an injury that happened right here. You know what I mean? Like it was something that built over time.
Gradual
Uh,
thing.
yeah, a gradual thing that I just ignored and just
So
kept
you
trying to train hard.
so you had pain during your parkour days in basketball?
For sure. That's the
Oh,
reason why I bring it up because it was I always had pain in that area and I just thought it was, wear and tear, whatever. Like I was young,
like
so
is it all in the lumbar or like
yeah,
upper?
it's all in the lumbar. It's all in so if if you're familiar with the sciatic nerve, everything that stems around the sciatic nerve is like kind of the area or the focal point of the pain. And I still deal with it today. So it's definitely
Shoots
not,
everywhere.
yeah, it can stem from, the hip to the shoulder to the feet, the nerves of the feet, everything.
Yeah, I tweaked my back where that happened before. I had a little bit like it
Yeah,
came to my hamstrings, and I was oh god, I think I think I
tweak
did something.
something. Yeah.
But yeah, so how let's see. So you had this back. What is it called?
So the one I have is spondylolisthesis. That's
Okay.
the longer, more severe one than the smaller word. So this spondylolisthesis is spondylosis, right? So spondylosis is two fractures of the vertebra, right? So, or well, in my case, I have two fractures, right? It's just a fracture. But since I had two of them, which again probably happened over time, wasn't just like bam, two fractures. Um, as I kept playing and kept trying to increase my performance, the fractures led to the vertebrae or the bone to actually slip forward out of place. And that's what spondylolisthesis is,
Oh,
when
okay.
the vertebrae actually is not in the place it used to be. And yeah.
You ever go to chiropractor?
Yeah, so my dad has a lot of history with chiropractors. When I first got the injury, I actually was sent to physical therapy. Physical therapy is the kind of ignition for me of everything I am now. Like physical therapy is, I learned some basic facts, some basic things about what to do, how to rehab my back, and how to live on with it. Uh, and that's why I am where I am today, for sure.
So
Definitely,
this spondy thing, is this like a life sentence?
I definitely think it's a life sentence. There's like a lot of remedies for it. What happened was, me and my dad at the time both didn't agree with the methods that the specific doctor I went to wanted to, do with me. He wanted to do a full body scan, which I thought was unnecessary. I was very young, so my body parts were still growing. Full body scan is a lot of radiation. I don't think that is like healthy for someone of that age.
Full body scan? This is like MRI of everything?
Yeah, it's super expensive, and then like they were just like, yeah, we want you to sit in a brace for a year, and I was like,
Oh god.
I can never do that. Like the type of person I am, I can never sit in a brace for. It's just not going to happen, And I've also heard people not get much relief from it long term. They end up getting more pain at the end of the day because they're so sedentary,
Yeah, the
right?
problem with that, like a lot of injuries, you got to get the blood flowing. You can't just sit
Hmm.
there. That's how you
Yeah,
get more pain. Like
of
you're aware
course.
of frozen shoulder.
Yeah, for
So like
sure. I mean, if you
yeah, you injure a shoulder and you just don't work it out because you're afraid of hurting it again. You end up
yeah,
hurting even more just not moving it.
yep.
Yeah, so that's kind of the caveat. Like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. Like you're
Right. Yeah, there's some type of middle ground that you need
yeah,
to adhere to for sure.
yeah. So when did so your family has a you said your dad also has this. Does he have spondee? Does your
So my dad was a mailman for about 30 years, and he did a walking route for a majority of it,
okay?
and he would hold a bag like on one side, and over time it led to degenerative discs disorder. So he has multiple discs degenerated. So he doesn't even have some of his discs anymore because they literally degenerated.
You mean the he doesn't have the disc anymore, or like the gel that sits? That
uh, the gel is gone essentially, so it's just bone on bone. It's
oh
just
god, that's
rubbing. Yeah. So he has a much worse case of much more long term, and
how's
that
this?
is also associated with his age. So,
Damn, that's crazy. So, have you ever suggested lift into him, get a little bit of
uh,
well,
man, I wish he's someone who is stuck in the norm where he was given opioids,
oh,
uh, early in his career to relieve pain, and I think once you're in that in that field, it's very hard to get out of, right? It's very hard to get away from the doctor's control. I don't want to speak like kind of negatively about it, but it's just a different way to go about, rehabbing
the
an
medical field
injury.
is it's interesting because
Yeah.
like you want to think that doctors are trying to help you, but then on the
Mm.
other hand, they want to make money too. Because like
Hmm.
I've seen cases where athletes get injuries that like surgery is like not even close to necessary, and they just suggest it. And I'm like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Like they just
Yeah.
want me, like. And then
Yeah.
obviously we have good doctors, but then we got the other side
Hmm.
where they're trying to make a buck. So
Yeah, for sure. And it seems that you can never really guess. Like every doctor that I've came into contact with didn't understand what I was trying to do, like my passion for either lifting or basketball. And their answer or remedy is always stop what you're doing, right?
yeah,
That's
that's
never going to work for someone who's like me or you, who really is passionate about, exercise or whatever.
yeah. Like I always use this example. You know Louis Simmons, right?
Yeah, of course.
So you heard of his back injury, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, where
ridiculous.
like I think he broke his back and he was like
Hmm.
on crutches for like 10 months because he was in so much
Yeah.
pain until he invented the back hyperextension. No, the
Was
reverse
the
hyperextension.
reverse hyper, right?
And then he came back and squatted 900 at like 50
Yeah,
years old. I'm like, what the hell?
huge.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of what I'm about. Like what I'm
Yeah.
trying to maybe spread with people is that injury doesn't, it doesn't define you. It doesn't stop you from whatever path you're on.
Yeah.
It's just a roadblock.
So when you started this, when you found out this diagnosis and then you started powerlifting, like how did you start deadlifting again?
All right.
Like you
So
moved down.
yeah, it's a long story. So when I got the injury, it was very a slow process. I got depressed, obviously. Like we'll get into mental health probably a little later, but it affected everything in my life really because basketball was what I loved to do, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I had to find something to kind of fill that void, that I had, and that was all I really thought about at first was just to replace it. Really, I was like, I got to get my ass to the gym just to replace this emptiness that I have.
Yeah.
Um, and what had happened was I went to PT. I went to a physical therapist, very good PT. It was actually my school's PT, and they had a little place down the road from me. And I, definitely learned a lot of basic knowledge there. Not only did they try to mediate the pain that I had, but they also did worked on some tactics to build muscle around the area or around the injury, and that's where kind of like it was like a Jimmy Neutron moment where I had a brain blast and I was like, wow, this is what I need to do. I need to rebuild, get bigger. I need to, you know, work on getting more muscle mass, therefore hopefully getting stronger or less pain in the area, right? The structures of the spine hopefully are more supported by
Yeah.
the muscle that I can build. So and they were doing it like at such like a slow rate because they were like, oh, like we don't want to hurt them. They were babying me, right? Because
Yeah.
they don't want to get sued, obviously.
Yeah, that's
So yeah, after like a couple months or so, I was like, I can definitely do this on my own. I just got to be careful. So I went into the gym, and that was the day where I started watching all these, uh, YouTube guys, these fitness influencers, and that's where I learned a lot of basic stuff. You don't really think of it at the time, but a lot of the things you're learning through these influencers, how to move a barbell, whatever, is biomechanics or is anatomy, right? And that's where I'm at now, where I'm learning much more about technique and how to move the barbell properly.
yeah, because obviously there's deadlifting. Obviously, there's a controversy of the sumo and the conventional.
Yeah.
I try not to pay attention to it, but whatever. But obviously the back end, like so I've seen you pull conventional, and that's what you stuck
Yeah.
with. Um,
So
since I
I'll
met.
give my input on that. That's actually a great topic to talk about, like sumo versus conventional.
Yeah,
I first want to talk about how, like, yeah, the back angle is straighter in the sumo deadlift, but if you don't know what you're doing regarding your spine and everything and your hips, especially if you don't have uh, proper mobility in the hips, it potentially could be worse for your back or worse for things. Like a sumo doesn't mean easier, right? Like no way in hell does it mean easier. If it was, I'd be sumo deadlifting tomorrow. I'm a powerlifter. I care about the total, right?
yeah,
Um, yeah, if I could uh, deadlift more sumo style, I would be there right now. You know what I mean? But it's not like that. So let me give you a little background to like my deadlift journey. So I've been in the gym it's coming on 7 years now since I've been training consistently. Like,
Okay.
really stepping in the gym, trying to improve, whatever. And it took me 4 years to be able to pull conventional, so, traditional conventional deadlifts style from the floor. With that being said, throughout those 4 years, I was doing Romanian deadlifts, back extensions, bunch of back movements, bunch of hamstring movements, all the stuff you can do in a gym that doesn't really load the spine in a way that you can't control its positioning.
Okay.
All those, the reason why I did them, this is kind of going to lead to how to rehab an injury or how to train through an injury, is I picked movements that were pain-free, or the range of motion was much more tolerable. You know what I mean? Like every time I pulled on a deadlift,
That's right.
it never felt good. You know what I mean? On my spine, it felt like I was going backwards.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Like it felt like I was taking steps backwards on my injury, and it was just making it worse and worse. The inflammation, everything was just way too high. It's because I didn't know how to deadlift. It's because I didn't know the biomechanics and what to do for my leverages at the time that I do now. But the RDLs, all the muscle that I built through dumbbell rows, everything, I can talk about a million movements, allowed me to get the necessary muscle mass to kind of support my spine when I did get to the deadlifts. So year 4 came around, and that's when I started, really diving into how to deadlift. You know what I mean? Like breathing and bracing, what's important with the spine, what to do with the thoracic, all that. There's so much that goes into it. And it took me 4 years to fucking learn it. That's why when Lewis came in, it's fucking blowing my weights out of the water at that quick was ridiculous to me. It was very ridiculous.
At least you're still doing something about it, because I had an incident too as well, because I had a similar experience to you, as in I had to give up a passion, because I was
wow, okay.
I was a wrestler.
Oh yeah, I saw that recently that you wrestled.
Yeah, I was a wrestler, and I wrestled because I love this sport. I love the physicality of being able to dominate someone, being able to take them down.
For sure, yeah.
Or fight them for 6 minutes straight, or was it 9 minutes straight, or something like that?
Yeah.
And just cutting weight, all the camaraderie of the team, and then it all went to shit when I first. It was like a tournament, and I ended up shooting in, and my shoulder gave out, kind of like.
Wow, so your shoulder stems back all the way to your sports career. Wow, that's just like my experience then. That's interesting.
Yeah. So it was back in high school when I tore it, my senior year. There was a little pop, and I was like, what the fuck? It was mid-match, and it was the worst possible match that I could have torn it in, because it was a match that put me back in the real bracket.
Oh, yes. Damn, that would kill me.
Yeah, after that initial pop, it kept dislocating on me. My labrum kept loosening up. Obviously, when you dislocate your joint, you stretch it beyond what it
right. What it can handle. Yeah.
And basically after that, I still wanted to wrestle in college, so I went to a summer training camp, and bro, I popped it out probably double digits during that month camp, and I was like, nah, I'm still gonna wrestle. And then eventually, I was like, fuck, man, I either gotta pick wrestling, which is probably gonna I'm gonna end up losing my shoulder,
yeah, man,
or I'm just gonna stick to powerlifting. So
wait, so you were powerlifting and training in the gym while you were wrestling?
Oh yeah, big time. I was during the summer training camp. I was powerlifting in the morning, and then wrestling hard at night. And I was like, holy, literally doing nothing all day except for just trying to rest up for my next workout, which is crazy.
Well, that's actually dope. Definitely, displays your strength. Why you're as strong as you are.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that I always kind of think about is if I was in the gym at the time when I was playing basketball, if I was really pushing the weights like I am now, I don't know if my injury would have went as bad as it went. I feel like if I had more muscle mass to begin with, trying to put the demand on my body that I wanted to, like jumping really high or dunking, I would have been able to support it way better, right? And that's why I think there should be not necessarily a change in high school sports, but maybe like an introduction of weight training more
Yeah.
in all the sports. I definitely think the coaches at the time when I was in sports didn't prioritize muscle building or strength development as much as they should have. That's
Yeah.
my only statement there.
The problem.
So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Lifting is demonized, especially in
Yeah.
America. Like they're like, oh God, it's gonna make you a midget. It's gonna like
I
break
love
your
that
knees.
one.
Like,
Yeah, you're gonna get shorter over time.
yeah, I train like I powerlifted for, let's see, for 2 years with that torn shoulder before I decided to get surgery on it.
Wow.
Like I just picked positions on the bench press and shoulder movements that wouldn't give my
Right.
shoulder.
Yeah, that's perfect. Pain free or a better range of motion, however
Yeah,
you want to put it.
yeah. So the lifting in high school is also a big problem with the school too, because high school
Mm.
kids are not exactly like mature in the head.
Yeah, for sure.
So they
Like
might
regarding
do something
ego
dumb.
and all that. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. They obviously don't want to be liable for that because they already have so much other things. Because like, what if a kid collapses on the field? They have to do CPR, and like
That
some
is a good
random
point.
kid just like maxing out in the weight room and fucking up his knee.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure like there's plenty of football players that can talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I've seen those college football players where they're
Yeah,
like a
their
whole
form
crowd of
is hideous half the time
yeah.
too. I always have like the most disgusted face on when I'm watching that because it's like, who's their coach? Like that's what I'm wondering.
That also happens in physical therapy as well. Because
Oh, for
when
sure.
I went to physical therapy for my I went through surgery back in September, and
Hmm.
I was with my I have no disrespect towards my physical therapist, but she does not know how
Yeah.
to squat. Like she like there's this
Yeah.
kid like I remember I saw this kid. He tore his MCL, so he went through surgery as well. So he was going through rehab during the same period of time I was going through rehab for my shoulder,
Yeah.
and he was one of the exercises he had to do to rehab his knee was body weight squats. And I was like, oh, cool. They're doing squats. Like I didn't think they
Hmm.
were gonna do squats. And when I saw like, okay, first of all, she said, okay, don't let your knees go past the toes. I'm like, all right,
Oh, of course, classic.
I'm like, all right. I'm like, okay, I guess he's not a lifter, so I guess that doesn't really matter. But then when I
Yeah,
saw
he's not required to. Yes.
this man was like quarter repping, and she was like, oh, good job. I'm like, that's not a good job. What do you mean?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the quarter rep stuff is it's actually the opposite with most cases. Like it seems like quarter squats kind of aggravate the knee more
Yeah,
so because you know what I mean. Like you're not really recruiting as much muscles than you could.
yeah, you're just loading the joint over and over.
Yeah, or breaking at the knee in the squat. That's a good topic regarding technique.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But does that influence back position? Actually, when you squat, what are your cues to make sure your back
All right.
is nice?
So yeah, this is actually like a great transition to kind of talk about technique. So I squat low bar, right? At least competitively. Like if I'm gonna try to load as much weight on the bar as I can, I'm gonna squat low bar.
Okay.
Yeah. So low bar. For little background with low bar. I started high bar squatting for my first, 4 years in the gym, but it always aggravated my back, my injury every so often, and my knees, my hips, everything was blowing up all the time. I'm not saying high bar is a bad movement, but high bar was just I didn't understand it at the time. It wasn't for me at the time. Um, Low bar transitioning into the low bar squat was actually something that increased my injuries recovery. So like I never felt my injury anymore on the squat.
Wow.
My depth was better. Uh, I definitely my overall like just response and stimulus to the squat was increased dramatically. So low bar like literally saved my life, and it made me actually contemplate powerlifting. I was like, holy shit, like I can probably do this one day and
Yeah.
be good at it.
Low bar recruits a shit ton of muscle. It pulls the
Yeah,
in the glutes, the
definitely. Yeah.
hamstrings, the legs. Well, obviously
Yeah.
the squat's always going to engage the legs, but yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know you had that many problems with high bar because I
Yeah,
think
man.
I think I've never squatted low bar. Like I've
Yeah,
always
yeah. You have a
squat.
very good high bar squat.
I'm literally like upright as hell.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually a good kind of thing, kind of the differences between me and you. Um, limb length, leverages, genetics, all really come into play when it comes to optimal
Yeah,
or efficient squat. It doesn't mean you can't build either one. You know what I mean? Like everybody can kind of load the bar any way you want and get strong, right? Um, but there's definitely going to be a more optimal one out of the two regarding your leverages.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Whether it's like the high bar, low bar, like wide stance, narrow stance.
yep, yep. It can
That's
go
great.
on forever, really. That's what's so great kind of about the sport. Like you don't just teach the squat or teach deadlift one way to everybody. You know what I mean? You have to have
Yeah,
them come in and, start talking about their leverages and make it personalized to them. It's the only way they can really learn and progress in a healthy way, at least.
yeah. I noticed you made a transition to heels on the squat. What made you want to do that?
Yeah. All right. So let me just talk about a couple cues that I think about because I forgot to answer that question when I'm on a rant now.
Yeah,
So the low bar squat, a lot of things that I've been really focusing on lately is ensuring this is probably like the biggest thing that I focus on, ensuring that this is I'll kind of reference or give some context to where I'm getting this source from. Guys like Joe Sullivan, Aesthetic Strength, so Brandon Teets on Instagram, even Hamstring Poppy, Sean Noriega talks about this all the time. It's definitely a known thing, but definitely general gym goers don't understand this at all. It's a anatomy reference. So what I'm thinking about is trying to stack or align the pelvis and the rib cage, right? So this is associated with proper breathing and bracing, right? So if you're breathing and bracing properly, you should shoot for not only good spinal alignment, but really good positioning of the pelvis and the rib cage. It's kind of the things that stabilize the squat, regardless of high bar and low bar. I believe these things need to be kind of understood
yeah,
in the squat. So in my low bar, I'm really trying to. It's very hard to explain, kind of without like having the squat on my back, but essentially, bracing down, bringing the elbows under the bar as opposed to being more winged. You can get away with a winged elbow position when you're in a high bar position, definitely.
oh yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, but when it comes to the low bar squat, for me, and the way my arms and leverages are, having the elbows way down under me and kind of not lap pull, yeah, almost like lap pull downing the barbell.
yeah,
So I'm really engaging my upper back lats. At the same time, I'm trying to kind of depress my scapula, so bring my rib cage down towards the pelvis to make sure that I have that nice neutrality in my spine. If you're not, here's the big takeaway. If you're not assuring proper alignment of the pelvis and the spine, you will have the classic butt wink when you try to break 90 degrees or break parallel in the squat.
Isn't butt wing like a mobility thing?
Butt wink is definitely a mobility thing, but it can often, if it's not a mobility thing, so if you find that a person has really or average mobility, it is often a technical thing as well. So their pelvis is either, so I don't know if you heard of lower cross syndrome, or people often call it, I don't know, a lot of females have this where their pelvis is kind of posteriorly tilted. I don't know if you heard that term before.
So is that
But
more? Okay, so that's like a more extreme curve in the back, right?
yeah, exactly. So this is actually good to talk about for me, because I have a very big arch in my lower back. So if I'm standing straight up, at least when I was younger, before I built all this muscle mass, I would have just straight up and down like a neutral posture. My low back would be very arched, right?
Is that
It's
like
because my
lordotic curve or something like that?
yeah, similar to that. But essentially my pelvis wasn't aligned properly and wasn't stacked properly. So it led to all sorts of pain, right?
Gotcha.
Posture is kind of a big stem from pain, for sure. But even more so in the squat. So biggest cue for me is everything I just kind of stated with the
Yeah.
proper bracing. um, alongside of that, the rib cage and everything, making sure the torso is kind of where I want it. Um, I've been thinking a lot about this is something that Joe Sullivan talks about from Elite FTS. He talks about crocodile breathing. So breathing and bracing isn't just squeezing your abs like you're going to get punched, right? A lot of people teach it that way. It's more like a 3-6 contraction. So you're trying to contract everything surrounding your spine, 360 degrees, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal. It's definitely hard to achieve, but you want to be working on that every time you squat. I'm sure you know,
Like
but everybody should be focusing on that for sure.
yeah, for some reason I kind of abandoned the brace. I don't know why. It just came natural that I just as soon as I got onto the bar, I don't even actively breathe in anymore. I feel like I should do that.
Yo, I've been wanting to ask you that for so long because I always look at your videos and I'm always like, wow, like it looks like he didn't even like
Yeah,
get ready for that.
yeah.
I was like, that's crazy.
I used to because I had two surgeries. So I had a shoulder surgery and I had a hernia surgery. Not like a back
Oh wow.
like an inguinal hernia. So
Okay.
that's basically from like straining. Like I got it when I was a kid, like when I was in like freshman year of high school.
Hmm.
And like, I was just doing like a chest press, and then like I was taking a piss, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on down there?" Like,
Wow.
where
Okay.
that it ended up being like a. So basically, what a hernia is just like you're there's like a weakened part of your ab wall, and like part of your organ pushes out. Like
Right.
your
Okay.
yeah. So I had that fixed up. So they were like, if you don't want this shit to happen again, train your fucking abs. And I was like, oh okay. And
Huh.
so that's when I got introduced to bracing. But then as soon as the weights got heavier, I just for some reason I abandoned it. It was weird.
So before you squat, like you wear a belt when you squat, right?
Yeah, during the heavier weights. Yeah,
Yeah. So like you're taking out a heavy single or whatever. So you said you barely take a breath in, correct?
yeah. I barely like. I'll take a breath in to like lift it off the rack. Like I'll go.
Off the
And
rack,
then,
okay.
yeah.
And then you'll maintain that breath for that period.
No, I don't even maintain it. I'll like because
Great.
I'll kind of hyperventilate before I go down into the squat.
Right.
But then like I don't really hold it anymore. I think it's a
Huh.
bad habit though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're successful with like your training, so it's like it's definitely not straightforward. It's definitely not like, oh wow, you must brace like me.
Yeah.
But I believe like particularly like so when you go down into the squat, do you feel like your belly or your back and everything is really pressed up against the belt?
The thing is, I tighten the belt so damn hard that it's like
Wow.
when I get like when you go down to the squat naturally, your stomach's gonna be a little bit expanded.
For
Like
sure, yeah, definitely.
so that even without bracing, I kind of feel myself just more supported in the bottom position, and I feel the explosiveness. I could come back
Huh.
up.
It's more of an instinctual thing for you, it seems.
Yeah,
It's
but I
not
feel
much
like
triggered.
because I do injure my back a good amount sometimes. Like
Hmm.
I have a occasional tweak here or there, and my technique
Interesting.
is perfect. So I'll just be like, hey, maybe I didn't brace hard enough or something. But then, yeah,
Yeah, man. I think the breathing and bracing has to be kind of part of your technique repertoire. I think whether or not it's like the same as everyone says, like it should be. I think you're definitely doing some type of breathing and bracing, right? Whether or
yeah,
not it's like me, you're doing it instinctively because
yeah,
I don't know if you'd be doing the weights that you are without it.
yeah.
Um, but the fact that you're conscious of it and like contemplating on whether or not like that, I think that's like really important. Some people kind of just never change or never think about improving certain things, certain aspects. So I think
Louis
what's
Simmons
important.
always goes over that because Louis Simmons like broke his back twice, and he always talks about the big importance of bracing. Like he's like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
back, like because all that the abdominal pressure, like all that support, it's like a
uh-huh.
big ass balloon.
Yep,
Like
yep, that's perfect. Yeah.
yeah, not like a balloon, but like a whoopee cushion, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's hard to like compress it. Like it's got to be
Uh-huh.
tight.
Yeah.
So when you get down in that squat, you're not giving up any position.
No, yeah. Um so like
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was gonna answer the heels question.
Oh yeah, holy crap! Yeah, we forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So the heels All right, so this is kind of a more recent thing that I've been doing, and kind of just making a little study about it. So not only do I have some injuries from the past, but I chose powerlifting, and anybody who does powerlifting kind of knows this. But if you choose to pursue powerlifting, there's gonna be bumps in the road. There's gonna be bruises. You're gonna have pain. It's kind of impossible to not
Yeah.
get, right? So if you're choosing to be, at least at a high level, if you really one day inspire to be real, like some of these guys that are lifting, 700 pounds, 800 pounds,
Yeah.
you got to expect there's going to be some roadblocks, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, I've had some, some knee tendinopathy. I've had some hip impingements.
Oh,
I've
you've
had,
had oh God,
yeah.
that's horrible.
So knee tendinopathy is kind of like a jumper's knee. People call it. Mostly happens from people who play basketball or jump really high or tend to jump often.
Did you
Um,
get it from basketball or?
it probably stemmed from basketball, but it was probably more so related to my squat. So it's kind of associated with uh, low bar and high bar. So with flats, when I'm squatting low bar, um, so far, let me just go back to heels. Heels is the most healthiest positioning. So being in a low bar squat and wearing heels so far is the most efficient way for me to squat heavy loads, right? Particularly the 1 rep max. Fuck anything under my 1 rep max. I'll take it with whatever. But if I'm doing a meet, I'm gonna do it in heels and I'm gonna do it in a low bar squat. Particularly because of how it makes my body feel, right? So recovery. After I squat low bar, I tend to, or squat in general, I tend to, record how I recover for the next couple days. And I think that's really important. If people are trying to, progress in powerlifting, you should start really taking note on how your body is recovering from session to session. It sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people kind of
Yeah,
ignore it.
there's a lot of little things that people don't do that. It's a difference between someone like Larry Wheels or
Exactly.
like. But yeah, yeah. Go on.
Yeah. So in my little study that I'm doing, flats, I feel when I'm in flats, regardless of the bar position, I feel like I have more control over the bar. So essentially, Sean Noriega, shout him out again, he explains it really well that throughout the entire lift, the weight feels the same amount on the bar, right? So if I take out 500, it feels like 500 when I get it off the rack, and it feels like 500 when I'm deep in the bottom of the hole, right? Throughout the entire lift, it feels however heavy it should. When it comes to heels, I have way more power out of the bottom, but a little less control. So that's like the biggest difference between the two. I'm a little less stable in heels, right? Because I'm elevated and it's kind
Yeah,
of
on the way.
on the way down. Yeah. So down into the
Okay.
bottom, I feel way less in control of the bar. But once I get out of the bottom position, I feel like I can squat anything, right? So
Okay.
what ended up happening, so kind of pro con flats and heels, flats, I was getting a lot of knee issues when it comes to flats, right? So I don't know about you. I think you have a decent amount of knee valgus when you squat. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, oh shit! Like, dude, when I squatted that 585, dude, my knees went to
Right.
they
And your
they
knees are pretty
came.
healthy, correct?
I actually had a recent bout of quadriceps tendonitis, but
Okay. Yeah.
on both
That sounds pretty
and I,
minimal when it comes to like the excess, like the knee valgus that you.
but interestingly, it was during my experimentation with flats. Like I squatted in vans
Huh.
um, for about a month just to see how it would feel,
Well,
and I'm like, holy crap, man, my knees are getting fucked.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I love that because that's exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, over the time of building the low bar squat, getting into the 500s essentially, my knees started, just feeling a little achy with or without knee sleeves. The second I got into heels, my knees tracked way better, so I was able to keep my knees from caving in essentially, right? So I didn't need
really?
as much internal rotation of the hip, right? So I didn't, because essentially, I don't want to get too scientific here, but like when it comes to hip extension, so locking out the squat, squeezing the glutes,
Yeah.
whatever, it is necessary, from an anatomy standpoint, for uh, internal rotation of the knee joint, right? So it's actually necessary for the knees to cave. That's why knee valgus is a very controversial thing, right? But it's about how excessive you cave your knees, and if you can kind of mediate it, you'll have less pain, right? Or less stress on a specific area.
Yeah.
So it's less about wrong or right. It's more about how much do you do it and how much pain do you get. But with the heels, I was able to control that whole relationship way better. And the only kind of negative that I had along with it was a little bit of a kind of Achilles heel tightness, probably because of how much knee flexion I get out of the heels. So how much my ankle is really getting flexed, how much my knee is going over the toe, essentially.
Yeah, the dorsiflex,
Yeah.
you can dorsiflex like big time.
Yeah.
With,
So that was, I think that I was only getting that because of how foreign heels were to me. I haven't squatted in heels since I first started lifting. So it's been a long time. I think that's the only reason why. I think a little bit of ankle exercises, ankle rehab, ankle prehab stuff is keeps me in check. Not really a serious thing.
It's a weird thing that you say that that the heels kept you from your knees caving in too much, because when I squat high bar, I tend to dive bomb a little bit.
Yeah,
that's like part of my technique.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I come out of the hole, my knees just they'll get the valgus.
Yeah, man.
So it's like controlling the speed I go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess that would make more sense.
Yeah, I mean,
just controlling it.
Yeah, I definitely went like you're strong as fuck already. You're stronger than me with the squat. But like as you get even stronger, I think everybody should start. Like you should see a drop in speed of moving the barbell. Like even like guys like Russell Orey, Larry Wheels, they changed to a slower descent in their squat as they started getting like world classly strong. Because like like speed is important in the lift, but it's all about like maintaining your technique through the speed that you can do it at, right? Like if you're going too fast for your technique to stay in place, you're going to get hurt, right? Or you're going to, build some unnecessary stress. I think that's a huge takeaway.
All right, so this is an important part of this podcast is the mental effects of injury.
Man.
So what do you want to say about that? Because
that's huge. Definitely a heavy hitter. I think it's gonna be the thing that takes up a majority of your effort and time to get better at. No, I don't think there's anyone really on this planet that like mastered mental health in their 20s, right? Like it's definitely something that's, or whatever, in their 30s even. It's definitely something that takes a long time and a lot of practice and a lot of looking yourself in the freaking mirror, truthfully, not just making excuses for things. But to kind of get into the nitty gritty of it, powerlifting definitely started my mental health journey. Like once the injury that I got in high school, led me to like definitely go down some shitty paths, like, alcohol, whatever, other drugs. I dabbled into that at a very young age, which sounds bad, but it was honestly a good thing for me, for the type of person I am, because nowadays I'm way more mature about those things. I was the type of kid when I was younger that I was very addictive personality to things, and especially when I have an injury, it's kind of like it's very easy for me to get addicted to things that probably aren't the best for me. But now, 7 years later, I'm way more mature about things. When I have people my age that are still drinking every day or still going out partying, whatever, and just wasting some time, So I'm,
I never understood what's fun in black.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe once in a while when you get married, that's cool. But like blacking out every weekend is just, it's financially it's not cool, and just on your on your body and mental health, it's not the best. So regarding the injury, for sure, definitely gonna admit it, I got really depressed from it, but powerlifting saved that for me. Whether or not I ever thought that I was even gonna compete or even gonna be something elite one day, it didn't matter. It just mattered that I had something to progress at every day. So yeah, like in the beginning, that was huge. Just the fact that I can literally progress at something every day, regardless of how my day went. So maybe at school, like I had like a shitty test or whatever, right? Like things that I can't thing that like went wrong in that day, I can make it up kind of in the gym or whatever. That was like the beginning stages. That is huge. Nowadays it's more like powerlifting and powerlifting literally took so much pain away from me. So it's actually ironic. Like everyone says they get pain from powerlifting, right? My powerlifting journey, my back and injuries have only gotten better. And because of obviously I have to, kind of condone that to proper technique, constantly learning what to do with programming and how to move a barbell in the proper way. But it empowered me to feel like I can really do something regardless of my past. You know what I mean? Nowadays, my mental health is just so much better on it because I have powerlifting. Without powerlifting or without just getting stronger in general or building more muscle mass, I don't know if I'd be where I'm at, with the mental health stuff.
Yeah, I think powerlifting dug a lot of people like
Yeah.
us through like a dark period. Because I wasn't like addicted to drugs or anything, but like when I had to leave wrestling, when like with no closure, like I couldn't like finish a career like I
Yeah,
wanted to.
that's a good
Like that
point.
was crushing. Like then like when I just like got back to powerlifting, then I was like, yeah, I got something to
Yeah,
do
for
again,
sure.
something to fight.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
topic to talk about too. Like, I had aspirations to one day maybe playing basketball in college, like at the time in high school, and that was kind of a big door closed in my face type shit. And I was like, wow, like, how am I going to
Yeah.
handle this? What am I going to do now? Like, basketball was going to I thought basketball was going to carry me into, my future. Like, I'll go to college with basketball. Maybe I'll get like a scholarship or something. And that opportunity closed so quick in my face, and that's what led me into like kind of a spiral with, the mental health. Definitely had it. That definitely is a big point to mention. And the fact is now, like with powerlifting, it's like, oh, I got one. Like this is my last hurrah. Like, like I can actually make
Yeah.
an impact in a sport, or actually show what I got.
It's crushing when like your mind still has it, but like your body
Yeah.
doesn't let you. Like that's worse. Like, but yeah. So when you had your back injury, like how long did it take before you started like doing something again? Like I gotta get my ass off.
Yeah.
Like gotta fucking
For sure.
shit again.
So when it happened, it happened in a game. Like I guess the there was like a certain point that I couldn't tolerate, I guess, any more damage to my spine, right? It was like a certain basketball game, and I literally had to pull myself out of the game. And I knew it was that day. Like that day, I was like, wow, like I'm not going to be playing for a little bit. And I was like, I don't know if I'll ever play after this, because the feeling I had, like I literally couldn't walk in the weeks that came. So like the
Oh,
slipping
geez.
of the vertebrae, which I'm assuming now it's resided, right? So I don't even know if like a vertebrae can reside back into position, but my theory is that like I was experiencing so much more pain then when it happened that I'm assuming that's when the vertebrae slipped, right? Whether or not it's back in position, who knows? But I don't have anywhere near the pain that I had then, like ever, right? Like after a heavy training session, I'll never feel like that, right? Where I can't walk, like that's a problem.
Like can't walk as in like
Yeah,
you're limping, or
like
you like
I
you
could
literally
get
can't
up
walk.
and get on my feet to walk, but walking felt like I had to hunch over dramatically in order to walk. Like I felt like an old man. uh, yeah, like a
What's
hunchback.
that
And the
pain?
ironic
That's
thing
crazy.
is, like this thing that I have is much more common with degenerative, like so like age related. So that also took a toll on my head. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, like I'm already an old man and I'm fucking 17. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was only 17 years old. It's like I have problems that 60-year-olds have, and this is what I have right now. So yeah, the mental aspect of that
Yeah.
for sure was just ridiculous. But the amount of time it took me to kind of get back on my feet, it wasn't too long. When I started going to PT, I did PT I think for like about 8 weeks or so, which I should have longer, but I was just ready to like do it on my own. And I got into the gym, within that year. So, I started moving again really quick. The feeling of not being able to walk resided probably after like a couple weeks. Like I was on like some pain medication, obviously, at the time. I stopped taking that, and then the intense pain definitely resided. So maybe like the bulging disc that I had maybe subdued over time. But I was a very stubborn kid, so like it didn't. It took me a lot to not move. You know, like I needed much more than what
Yeah.
I experienced to put me on my ass. You know.
Yeah, most definitely. Got a good story.
Yeah.
Is Harrison. You know
Yeah,
Harrison,
man, he's
that guy.
inspiration. You know, that's an understatement, but yeah.
Yeah, he ended. What he like ended up getting
I
shot in
don't
the
know his
back,
story. That I
and
did not
the
know he
bullet.
got shot. That's crazy.
Oh, you didn't know? Oh, yeah. So basically, he was like, I think he was just like out in the neighborhood,
Wow.
just like chilling, and like there was a gunfight, and the stray bullet hit
Holy.
him right in the back, and he couldn't
Wow.
walk after that. And he was like a good football player. I think he was getting ready to play in college as well, and then the door just
Holy
shut right in his
shit. Yeah.
face, boom, and he can't, like, to this day, like, he's still in the wheelchair, but what is he now? He's a like
Oh
number
yeah.
one in the U.S. for in weight
Yeah,
for
crazy man. And
powerlifting.
like,
So
his attitude
most,
and his charisma and how he carries himself that's the hugest thing. Like it seems like his ego and everything, like he's mastered um perspective, you know what I mean? Like he's mastered his ability to whatever, like share a good light with other people regardless of what you've gone through. It's something a lot of people can learn from.
yeah,
Because you know I often get down on myself, you know, where I'm at in the sport or where I'm at in life, and someone like him who's able to smile every fucking day and you know bench some crazy ass weight with the situation that he's in is insane. Like it's super inspirational.
yeah. Some days I'll have like the shittiest training days. Like the
Yep.
numbers I want aren't even there, and I just play
Mm.
that rep over and over. I'm like, damn, did I really feel that?
Yeah.
I'm just like, yo, shut the hell up, man. There's some people
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
want to lift that
Exactly.
can't lift. Yeah, so you gotta
For
take
sure.
the positives. You can't focus
That's
on, especially during the torn shoulder I had. I was in the sling. I was in a after the surgery. I was in a sling for about, I want to say, 6 weeks. Every day of those 6 weeks
yeah. I'm
was
sure.
like torture. Like I I had only use of one arm,
yeah.
and I was like, holy crap, man! Like people were like opening doors for me. I'm like, what am I, like
yeah.
a cripple? Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people, like, even people were like, people in the, because I still had to go to the I
Oh
still
wow.
went to the gym to like
Yeah. That's cool.
go on the bike and whatnot. Still curled up my
nice.
right
Gotta
arm.
keep the arms up.
Do something, right? Yeah. And people were like, yeah, he's not gonna get back to where he
really?
was. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, shut the
Damn.
fuck up. Like,
I,
the people that were on my side were basically, it came crashing down. Like people that thought, like people that I thought were on my side, they were like, oh yeah, this kid's strong as fuck.
yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna be world class one day. Now they're just like, he's done. And I'm just like, what the hell happened
Huh.
before? Like
Yeah.
now you don't believe me? Like
I
it's
think
weird.
that's
It's a weird dynamic
yeah,
people have.
definitely. I think that's a great topic to kind of finish off the mental health side of like whatever you're doing, right? Because
Yeah.
what other people's opinions and all that can definitely influence your own right opinion of yourself and like your own health towards what you want to do in life. And I remember the funniest thing is that my doctor that kind of looked out for my injury, he told me I'll never do anything athletic ever again. So he literally said, like, yeah, he was like, don't
Straight.
expect to ever get back to what you want to do or get back to the peak performance. And in my head, I was like, wow. Like at first I took that, I was like, wow, like, damn, that's it, you know? And then
That's a
yeah, so, you
professional
know, like
telling
he's
you. Like, that's
he was a
crazy.
very, you know, accredited doctor at the time. I don't know about now, but he was at the time. And for him to say that is like something crazy to me at the time, right? But a big, huge thing that was like literally a night and day experience for my mental health and my outlook on myself was not letting him or anybody's words kind of dictate what I'm going to do with my injury, you know, what am I going to do moving forward? Because if I always kept it in my head that, oh, I'm never going to be able to do anything athletic again, whatever, I never would have been here. I never would have took the steps or the risks to get to the level of strength I have, and that's why I have the confidence. It's not really I don't walk around thinking I'm strong as fuck. I walk around thinking that I overcame this, pretty difficult thing for a young adolescent to go through, and I'm still going. I still got time under my belt. I'm healthier now, and I'm ready to, put forward on it. I remember when I first pulled 500, I was like, I'm literally going to invite that doctor to my fucking meet and let him see me pull 500 pounds in his face. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was feeling at the time. And like, that was huge.
See, that's
Yeah.
the weird part about doctors. I don't know if he genuinely believed that, or
Yeah,
unless he was required to tell you that. Because the thing with doctors is they can't promise you anything.
Yeah.
Like, they really can't. Because that's a liability thing too.
So it was definitely associated with that. But as a young kid, like, I was like, I took it as truth. I was like, oh, this is end all be all. Like, that's
yeah. But yeah, it's like there's a part of something in people that can't be measured by science. Like the freaking will of like a human being is crazy. When you like free your mind of all your limits and whatnot, it's like, it's amazing.
As some animes would say, what's your resolve, right? If your resolve is really, really strong, it's not something that can be sanctioned to science or to doctors, right? It's something that moves you in a different way, for sure.
Yeah. So you saw the Thor recently Thor, I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it 2 days ago, 3 days ago? I forgot. 5 days ago. Holy crap. It's been that long. But yeah, he pulled.
Yeah, I believe that's like 1,100 something pounds, right? Something around there.
Yeah, that's like the head. He's the top lifter of the human race, like of all humans. Like,
super crazy. I mean, I love that it was on ESPN. That's huge for lifting sports in general. Yeah. That like something like that was broadcasted at that level.
Was it validated? I still don't know whether it was validated.
I don't know if it's like actually literally validated, or like whether or not people are like Eddie and everybody who are just not gonna accept that it's validated, right? I'm assuming it is valid, right? Like, I'm assuming that was like a real meet and like it's a valid record, right? Yeah, like I believe that's going to be in the books, but whether or not it's going to be taken down in the future, where there's more discussions, like there's so many big time people that are going to be doing some interviews with it, like Nick Strength and Power is hoping to get like a podcast with both of them in it for them to talk about. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see in the future. But I also just think it's a little bit, friendly banter between two competitors just to build some, build some eyes on it. Yeah, good publicity and stuff. So you can't disregard that either for it all.
It was hilarious, though. He pulled that 501. The guy stuck the mic in his face, and he was like, "Yo, I don't box Eddie." I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
It's like,
like that. So it seems like that was like a little staged, like, oh, I'm a box Eddie tomorrow, like, and 4 days later there's like a boxing meet or whatever. Is that real? Like, I saw like a meme about that. Like, Chronic is.
Yeah, apparently they're gonna fight in September 2021
Oh, wow. Okay.
or something. No, September 2020. I don't even know, but apparently, like, I don't know. I saw a post where Thor was like in boxing gloves, and he was. He's ready. Yeah, we're gonna fight. And I was like,
it reminded me of like like Logan Paul or whatever, like the YouTubers who were like trying to fight or whatever. It kind of reminded me of that. How like people are just trying to chase the clout bandwagon,
Actually, funny thing, Mike Tyson is stepping out of retirement to fight in some.
That is real
exhibition fights.
I thought that was fake news. That's crazy.
Oh no! In Tyson training, that guy is hitting the mitts like
holy shit.
He looks young.
Yeah, I'm sure that guy's a legend.
I would not. I would.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Also, recently today, big name bodybuilder. Crap, I just
Luke Sando. I think that's how you pronounce it. Something like that. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, Sando, he yeah
yeah, so
passed
they
away.
don't know
That's pretty
really
sad.
much
I don't know when.
about it, right? Like there hasn't been much report. I'm assuming.
Yeah, the story is that his training partner and the girlfriend
Wow,
found him in the room, in the house or something. And yeah, he's 30 years
young,
old.
holy,
He was 30.
wow.
That's really young. Yeah. So and he had a
Definitely.
big
I
impact on
remember
the
the
fitness
name when I
industry
first
already.
started.
He
I'm not really educated on him that much, but I definitely remember him being big in the beginning. All I can really think about, it's kind of interesting to talk about stuff that two guys that I kind of know more about, Rich Piana and Dallas McGarver, when they passed within the few years. That was huge. Dallas
that's
McGarver is somebody that, you know, he reminded me of the next Ronnie Coleman. He was somebody that had the mass out the ass, and he was able to
he
deadlift and squat some crazy
yeah.
numbers that bodybuilders don't really play with. So seeing him pass, and obviously Rich Piana, a legend, regardless of the, you know, the controversy that's with him, you can't disregard his impact on the fitness industry, you know.
Okay, so I also want to know this too. So your numbers right now,
Yep.
as a junior, you're 23 now, right? So your squat is currently so just let everyone know what your numbers are currently and
For
what you
sure,
want,
yeah.
like
I got a
short term and long term for your
really good
numbers.
plan to get me out, you know, get me into the higher total range. So my current one of our maximums of the three lifts. So I did it in a meet actually recently. I did a 520 squat. I did a 305 bench, pause bench, and then I did a 550 deadlift to give me a 1375 total. Um, yeah, so I was pretty happy.
Yeah, beat my
Yeah,
deadlift.
I was pretty happy about my performance overall, but mainly really happy about the deadlift because I definitely left some weight on the bar. I yeah, it flew pretty good. I was
Oh
pretty
yeah,
happy
that
with
was
it.
fast.
My whole training prep, I used a Rogue Ohio power bar, so it's a very stiff bar. Its tensile strength is very high. They use a deadlift bar. So the ironic thing is when I got to the deadlift bar,
Yeah,
my deadlift just felt way better. Pulling the slack was just a different ball game. Yeah,
yeah, everything was just
I was
flying,
very
right?
happy about
That's
that.
the yeah. Transitioning,
Yeah, so
maybe you should invest in a
I
deadlift
mean
bar then,
I don't want to talk
because
too
like
much into it. You know, we talking a lot about, you know, technique and pain and everything, but with the deadlift bar, I definitely think it's has more longevity to it because the slack, the mass slack that you can pull out of it just allows you to get into a way better position and take less toll on your back. I think you can move the weight way more efficiently with a deadlift bar. So who cares really whether or not it's easier to move deadlift with to a deadlift with a deadlift bar? It's more about it's potentially healthier, I think, long term to pull with a deadlift bar. I definitely miss pulling on a Texas deadlift bar. I used to pull on it when I was at Defined.
so. What are the numbers that you're hoping to hit
Next year, okay, is that like short
within like the
term? Would you
next
say?
year, say?
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah, I guess like
So
within the next
a
12
couple of my
months.
short-term goals is it's kind of specific, but the first one would be definitely to build volume in the 300s on bench. So I just did, yeah. So the other day I just did a
Oh,
3x1 on 305, right?
that,
So that's my max bench press. I did a 3x1 on it, and that's my first volume in the 300s. If you really look at it, right? Three total volume. Yeah, big PR.
that's big
But
PR.
I want to really start building that up so that I have, you know, some RPE scaling in the 300, something that I can gauge and really start getting my ass out of the 200s on bench because it's time. It's long overdue. Um, more that is definitely going to be a 585 dead by the end of the year. I definitely going to tackle that goal. I'm very confident to be able to do that just because how healthy my back has been. And deadlifts have been moving really well. I did a beltless block recently. I pulled 535. I was very happy with that. That pull beltless deadlifts have always been very anxiety driven because of my injury. Not having something to brace against is scary for the deadlift. So getting that up to 535 was very, very, very inspiring for me.
I keep forgetting. Are you a
I have a
lever belt
prong
guy,
belt.
or are you like a
Like
prong belt
I
guy?
definitely train uh, in a modern programming style, but I think the lever belt is too USAPL for me. I haven't done a USAPL meet yet, so it's like it's too
It's
modern.
too
Like it's so
USAPL. What
modern
does that mean?
powerlifting, you know. Like I just yeah, like flipping the lever after the lift. Like I don't know. I just didn't want to be that guy, so I stuck with a prong belt. No shots at anybody that wear lever. I just I
Just
like the OG. Yeah. Lewis is a classic lever
like
guy.
Lewis.
He loves the flip after the pulls.
When Lewis unclicks his
Yeah,
belt after a
it's
set,
funny,
it's
dude.
like the greatest thing I ever see.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
it's so
love
dramatic.
it.
Boom! He just walks
But
off.
yeah, my next goal, the squat's something that I've always didn't really like. I don't train. I don't go hard with the programming when it comes to squat because squat. It seems like I need the least out of all lifts. All the lifts, yeah, the least stimulus, right? So like,
What?
it seems like the less I do for my squat, the better, particularly in the comp lift. So I'm throwing out like a moderate, something that I think I can do pretty easily soon is a 545 squat. That's something I'm very inspired to do soon, and I'd be very happy about that. But I feel like my squat comparatively to my dead and bench is pretty good, so I'm not worried about getting it so much higher as I am compared to the bench and dead. Like I want to get those two definitely the priorities on bench and dead instead of the squat. Um, Alongside of that, though, I really do have. I know you have a little love for this as well, but Olympic lifting style things. I want to get into like cleans and more functional things like football players do. So starting that kind of journey, I want to get like a 365 front squat. Front squats have been so influential and so helpful in my powerlifting journey, keeping my knees healthy, keeping my quads big. So that's the yeah. I know you do front squats as
Yeah,
well.
love front
So
squats.
I'm sure it'll affect my squat and deadlift pretty well. So that's another little side goal. Right. Yeah.
I haven't done front squats just because
Along
of
with the front
shoulder.
squat, I want to get a 455 safety squat bar. I love the SSB. It's one of my favorite variations for the squat. Um, and a 2-plate military press. I think that'll be yeah. Like I've been wanting that for so
Oh,
long,
geez,
and I think that
that's
means more
great.
to me than a 315. I touch and go 315 on bench once. Uh, Nothing really changed. I was like, I'm still, but military press, I think is something that I can't even remember when I started that goal. So to achieve that soon, I'd be very, very happy with that. That's pretty much my final short-term goal. Yeah, sorry, I
Oh,
got a
those are all
lot.
short-term goals. Jesus Christ,
This
there's a
year,
lot of
I
short.
really want to leave the junior class on a good note. Basically, my only long-term goal is securing the ability 1,500 plus total. Uh, that's my long-term goal. Yeah, yeah,
1,500. Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's doable. You'll get there. That's like
yeah.
easy at your stage. Like
Yeah.
just the rate of your progression. I'm just
Nah,
like, what the hell, man?
you're gonna get right back.
I'm slow.
Your progression is gonna be
I'm falling behind.
fucking right back to how it was you started. I mean, before you got injured. What happened?
I actually transitioned into knee wraps.
Oh yeah.
I actually transitioned to knee wraps, and they feel great. Yeah, but yeah, that's the before this whole lockdown thing happened. I squatted 495, and then I couldn't because my knees
Oh
they got
okay.
so painful from
This was
the
post shoulder
the
tear.
quadricep tendon. Like yeah, it was
Yeah, post surgery. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's great, man. Already
post
back under
surgery. Yeah,
495.
like right.
That's huge. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, I just had to
Right.
adjust my
Yeah, like the
grip.
Ben
Like I had
Pollock
to do
PhD
the what
style
Gagnon does with his
of
pinky.
holding the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do that. Yeah. Oh yeah, but yeah, enough about. So let's see, what else haven't we talked about?
So like
Oh yeah. So
what
what are
I
your
want to
big
do in the
inspirations
future,
from
like
the
in the
sport?
sport.
Did we talk about that already?
Oh, people that are that inspired me.
No,
Yes,
I
I'll
mean
talk
like
about
the
a
people
bunch
that
of
you
guys.
looked up to.
So I talked about it a little bit, kind of what got me
Yeah.
kind of on SBD or started to influence me on lifting, kind of like Bradley Martin, Chris Jones, Mike Rashid, all those guys. But as I kind of progressed into okay, like I'm ready to do a meet. A couple of guys that I can mention is Russell Orhe, Ben Pollack, Kevin Oak, Dan Green, Johnny Candido, Kaylor Woolham, all those guys. I could even say Joe Sullivan. Like all those guys are really the people that inspired me to like actually go and compete in a meet, right? And actually put my powerlifting on a total and actually get a total for myself and move forward on. I'd recommend following those guys to anybody who's interested in moving a barbell. You know what I mean? Like they're super educated and very progressed in the sport, obviously. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, most definitely. Especially Joe Sullivan.
hell
Joe
yeah.
Sullivan
He's
has some mad
he said so much. Like
savage
he's the
speaking
one that kind of
Instagram.
did the crocodile breathing. That kind of he's the one I have to take responsible for like my technique and my breathing and bracing. What I think about regarding the squat and in other movements.
Well, another thing we should talk about is like
Oh yeah, man.
what has
Um,
powerlifting done for you for your
Yeah,
life as like a
so
person,
um,
relationships.
powerlifting, there's so many lessons in powerlifting, man. I mean, I guess there's so many lessons in any sport, but particularly with powerlifting, considering it's such like a long-term thing, it's so like, you got to be in it for the long haul type stuff. You got to be ready to do it when you're 30. You got to be ready to do it in any
Hmm.
change in your life. When you get in your own house, you're getting a girlfriend, you're getting married, whatever. You got to be willing to still make that sacrifice and get stronger and work towards your goals. So there's so many lessons to be learned there. I think the biggest one for like probably younger people is it taught me to humble myself. So having the ego I had when I was younger, coming out of high school, it really threw it in my face that I need to look at myself in the mirror and just know where I stand when it comes to the sport and how good I really am and how much progression I need to make. That was really important in the beginning. It taught me a lot. But mainly, the biggest thing that's associated with the ego and everything is it forced me to attack my weaknesses with confidence and honesty in myself, and instead of being insecure about my weaknesses like I would be in the past before I did powerlifting. I think when the reason why I didn't get as far as I could in basketball was because all my weaknesses I ran from, right? Or I was insecure about them. But powerlifting, if you run from your weaknesses, you'll never be where you want to be, ever. And you should just call it there. What'd you say?
Or injured.
Or you get it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You
Yeah,
literally just won't be able
or
to
you just get
step on a
injured
platform
because
again because your ego is going to get in the way. So yeah, that was huge. That carries over to life in general. It's not just a sport thing. No, knowing where you stand with things and being able to assess your strengths and weaknesses for face value is everything. It's like the classic saying, like when people say 100 pounds will always be 100 pounds. The barbell's never gonna lie to you, So like if you're feeling some type of way about yourself and you walk in thinking you can do whatever, it's
yeah.
gonna tell you right then and there that you fucking can't, or yo, like you need to work on this, like right away. And that's something that I think matured me very quick when it comes to life in general. Yeah, relationship wise,
So what do you think
I
it did
can't not
for like
mention that
relationship
powerlifting
wise?
kind of empowered me to pursue personal training. So personal training opened me up to a whole new kind of amount of people that I connect with. I've trained, it's not nothing crazy, but in the last 2 years, I've trained like probably 20 to 30 people, different people. And what it did for me is build so much confidence in my social skills. That's something I was never really good at when I was in high school. I was always the kid that, like I had a lot of friends and everything. I was, in with the cliques or whatever, but friends with everybody. But like I never was the guy talking the whole time. I was always in the corner, kind of observing, or in the background. Um, Powerlifting and being able to personal train and control someone's entire lifestyle or change their lifestyle has given me so much confidence with being able to talk to people, and just being able to spread what I feel and what I think is right with a confident level. So yeah, that's like the biggest thing that powerlifting did for me regarding relationships is it opened up a career path for me that I never thought I would ever be. Never thought I'd be a personal trainer, and it was a very, very good experience for me. So I have
Are
like
you
a
taking any clients to
pretty
meets yet?
pretty hard standard when it comes to the difference between a personal trainer and a powerlifting coach, right? Powerlifting coaching is very, very specific. It's very in depth. Programming can be there's so much variety in powerlifting when it comes to person to person. The first thing that's really important is if you can't put a successful performance up for yourself repetitively, right? I don't think you're ready to take on clients to take them into a meet on their own. I think it's really important that you develop an established total as a competitor before you take on people who are ready to do a meet as well. It doesn't mean you can't give your tips and tricks, but to charge a lot of money for it, that's where the genuinity uh, kind of falls apart. Yeah, like, talk your talk,
Yeah,
but
you
make
gotta
sure you're
show what you
walking
can
it
do
type
too, right?
stuff. Total is what matters. So I just don't like, there's a lot of coaches in the
Yeah.
game. I want to befriend a lot of the people in the community already, and I don't want to paint the wrong picture that, oh, I'm just some kid who thinks he's a coach, because I want to make sure I'm not stepping on other coaches' toes, like Gag alone has his computer out for, he's running around coaching like 20 people, and he's like functioning at a level that I have never functioned before. So how can I call myself a powerlifting coach, when he's out there grinding way harder than, or even learn, like, has the knowledge that I just don't have, you know? Um, yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, if you
he's
guys
the best
don't
of the
know
best,
Coach
So,
Gaglione, he coaches
um,
Larry, just
I
so you know.
think, just walking, walking the steps, making sure you're taking the necessary steps in your own life, uh, first before you try coaching. But I can definitely see myself doing it in the future. Definitely with novice, level people who have never done a meet before. Like, I can definitely, share light and give some insight on how to, get into a meet and how to prepare and program and all that stuff. I'm definitely educating that level. But what makes me better than anyone who's been in the game for 10 years is the problem, right? You gotta make sure you know your shit, and you show your shit for people. I want people to come to me. I don't want to be the guy friggin', yo, I'm link in the bio coaching. Like I want, yeah, like I want people to be like, wow, this guy's strong enough. This guy says this, that, and the third on his thing. Like this guy changed this and overcame this. I'm gonna get him.
But not a lot of people
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
that. It's usually when they
Ironically.
say I offer coaching, then people will actually go to them. I feel like
Yeah,
a
that
lot of
that
people
that
are
is a good point.
terrified of
So
what
it's
to say. Oh,
there's
can
definitely
we
not
just talk to him or not? Like,
a set way to go about it, but it's
yeah,
difficult. I definitely inspired to do it one day, but whether or not I'm ready for it
yeah.
tomorrow, I guess that's the debate.
Yeah, being able to
Yeah.
take someone through like a transformation and then
Oh
just
yeah,
seeing
for
them
sure. I
succeed on the
mean, just
platform,
the
it's like
feeling alone of the
imagine the
effect
feeling
I've
is
had
probably
on
pretty
people
good.
in personal training, right? So like whatever it is, losing weight, building muscle mass, getting stronger, is just that alone is really, really amazing feeling. So I can imagine myself trying to pursue it further into the sport. Yo, yeah,
All right, yeah, that was. That was a good podcast. That was some really good
Yeah,
information.
man.
But the last thing, because you're an anime guy.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of profile pictures that resemble anime characters.
Top
So
5.
I want to know what your top 5 are. So from 5 to
All
like
right.
1,
Yeah.
like 1 being your best one,
All right.
5 being
So
the least best.
I'm
Like,
gonna go
like,
with a little
just give me your
throwback
top
here,
5.
just because this one in particular was the most influential on me, and my personal life. So that's where I find a lot of motivation from watching animes is the effect on me. So the first one I'm gonna have to say is Neon Genesis Evangelion. I believe that's how you say it. It's a 27 episode series. It's an older anime. It's probably one of my favorite animes ever. It kind of has some elements of Attack on Titan. A lot of people watch that. I don't know if you've watched that, Ellen. Um, Attack on Titan, it has a lot of elements of that, but yeah, that's all I'm gonna really say about that. But that's one of my favorite animes. Attack on Titan is definitely probably maybe number 2 in there. 3 would be. I have to. I don't want to say this because it's definitely an anime that is probably controversial. Like people probably don't really respect like all the new Netflix animes, but Seven Deadly Sins I have to mention about just because I enjoyed it, yeah, so much. Just the storyline alone, like it was just fun, a fun story to get it in. It had some deep meanings and stuff throughout the story as well. So it's definitely a good show for maybe people who are haven't much experience with animes. It's a good intro for them. I have to throw this recent one that's it's a new anime. Probably for I'm just gonna throw this new one out. This recent one that I just watched, Fire Force. It's only 1 season out so far. That one has that I don't know. I just loved it. I love the way it was made. It was really really good. Definitely one of my favorite newer animes out there. And probably the 5th one. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically this kid that has devil feet. He can like shoot fire out of his feet, and he like flies around and everything. It's pretty sick. It's kind of like a unique story, and it's not like every other little boy overcoming his fears type style of anime. Yeah, because they get redundant pretty much. And then my 5th one, probably throw. Probably a weirdo one out there for the 5th. I'd say Tokyo Ghoul. Yeah. Yeah. I watched Death Note recently. I definitely enjoyed Death Note. I was gonna put that as my 5th one. I'm actually surprised you even said that. Like even referenced that. That's a kind of an older one. Kind of original. It's sad that I just watched it, right?
Death Note is like
yeah, definitely like what's right, what's wrong.
Challenges your ethics
yeah, for sure. Is it right to kill criminals? Like that's the whole storyline pretty much. And yeah, that whole aspect is definitely interesting. It would definitely come a close top 5 for sure, just because of the storyline in general. Yeah, you've watched Tokyo Ghoul?
Yeah, but Tokyo Ghoul's not that.
Yeah, it's definitely as you watch it, it gets a little out of hand. Like the storyline just gets butchered. So a lot of animes are like that. But yeah, but the beginning, first few seasons, oh man, great show.
All right, I think I've taken up a good amount of your time.
Yo, yeah, it was a really good conversation. I really enjoyed it, man.
Thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Learning.
Later, guys.
Yeah.